Hi, I'm Carolyn King, and I'm the art instructor at TMC for Seniors. Welcome to class today. We're going to be working on rock painting for the Kindness Project that we've all been doing at TMC for Seniors to bring beautiful, inspirational painted rocks to patients and their family members at TMC. So, before we jump in, let me talk about materials and let me introduce the table. So in order to do this project, of course, you're going to need a nice flat little rock. And these rocks are available for sale on Amazon, but you can also pick them up around town. If you happen to have rocks in your backyard, just be sure that whatever rock you select, you clean thoroughly so that the paint will adhere. In addition to the rock, of course, you're going to need some acrylic paint. We're going to be using small containers of acrylic paint. You don't need a lot of paint to work on rocks, so you can just pick the colors that you love when you purchase paint. You're also going to need paint brushes, and I'm also going to be introducing a couple of other tools that you might be using today. The eraser of a pencil, the bottom end of a little shish kebab stick are some favorites. We are also using some Q-tips. We found these at the Dollar Tree. They have a pointed end and a little rounded end. So you'll also need some kind of plate to work off of. Styrofoam or paper or even a plate from your kitchen will work just fine. And last but not least, we're going to recommend some kind of permanent marker. This is Office Max or Amazon, the version of a Sharpie. You could use a Sharpie, and they come in different point sizes. We also are going to be using some acrylic paint pens, and these are available both online and at Michael's, and Michael's is still open. So let's get started. So before we actually start to paint our rock, I wanted to share with you a couple of examples of rocks that have been worked on before. As you notice, each of these sample rocks has some kind of inspirational word on the front, and each of our rocks also has something on the back that indicates that somebody is welcome to pick these up and take them with them. You could say "for you" or "I'm yours" or anything you want to encourage whoever finds these rocks to go ahead and take them. They will be placed in courtyards and various locations around TMC and free for the taking. So, in order to start, step one, we're going to take our little plate and put some color on it. I think we're going to use a little purple. So the idea when you want to do this rock is you want to put about the size of a dime on your plate, not much larger than that, because it's often hard to get the paint back into the container. So you want to just start with a little bit of paint. You could use a brush that looks like this that has a point, or you could use a brush that looks like this that has is flat. Either one of these brushes are fine. You want to use a fairly decent sized brush for this first step and save your smaller brushes for details. So applying just a nice blob of paint on the surface of the rock, I'm going to just put what we call a tight coat. Make sure that there aren't any bumps of the acrylic paint sitting up on the top. And once you've painted one side, you're going to want to dry the rock with a hair dryer or set it outside. And once it's all dry, you're going to flip it over and paint the back. You're welcome to use the same color on the back, or of course you could use a different color if you like. So now our rock has been dried and we're on to step two. In this case, I went ahead and I wrote my word on the back of the rock before I started painting so that it would be dry and ready to go as I start the next step. So for step two, you're welcome to write your word on the back. And now I've served a bit more color on my plate, and I'm going to select a brush. I'm going to actually start with a brush that's kind of tiny so that I can actually write a word first. And the word that I've chosen to write is hope, like this guy. You can all use a bit of that right now. So I'm going to just paint the word hope. You could also use your marker. If you feel more comfortable wielding a marker than a brush, you certainly can use a marker to write your word. So I'm going to go ahead and write my word on the rock. And for step 4, I'm going to go ahead and decorate. So there's my word. And even though that isn't dry yet, I'm going to carefully begin to decorate around there. I'm going to clean my brush in a little bit of water, dry the brush on the paper towel, and in this particular case, I think I'm going to paint a little bit of flowers using my pink paint. Now, if your paint is too thick, you can always add a little bit of water, but the nice thing about having thick paint is it's not dripping off the brush. So it's actually kind of a good idea to have thick paint. I'm just going to make some little petals here above my word. And maybe one more downstairs. And next, I'm going to demonstrate how to work with this little Q-tip because these guys are super fun. So you want to be careful when you use a Q-tip that it doesn't have too much paint on it, because if you have too much paint on the Q-tip, it's going to smear and kind of make a blob. So I'm just going to make some little dots around the outside of my design as if it's like a little stem for my flower. The cool thing about this Q-tip is it's got that little point so you can make some little ones too. There we go. All right. So at this point, you're going to basically be working on your rock to embellish it and make it as gorgeous as you like. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can be quite simple. And once the rock is dry, we recommend, and actually here at TMC, we do the actual glazing for you, but the idea is you want to use some kind of sealant if these rocks are going to be put outside. So this is just a particular brand of sealant. There are several others available at Ace Hardware and Home Depot. You just want to seal the rock with a nice clear coat if you're going to be leaving it outside somewhere. Okay, so I've taken the liberty to add some additional embellishments to my rock, and that means I put a little bit more pink paint and I added some white to the black letters so that you can really see them. And basically, we're inviting you to paint rocks at home and set them aside in order to bring them back to TMC for Seniors at a later date when it's safe to add your rocks to our collection for the project. If you don't have the sealant at home, we'll be happy to seal them for you, so don't worry about that. We thank you for your contribution to the Kindness Project, and we look forward to seeing you when it's safe back here at TMC.